Hey, today we're talking about 2 Nephi chapter 9, verses 1 through 26. And the topic of our lesson is to help our students feel a greater appreciation for Jesus Christ's role in helping us overcome sin and death. This is a lesson all about the atonement. I'd like to start at the very end of the lesson first because there's a great idea here for starting the lesson. President Joseph Fielding Smith taught that 2 Nephi chapter 9 is one of the most enlightening discourses ever delivered in regard to the atonement. It should be carefully read by every person seeking salvation. I love that we've got the testimony of a Latter-day prophet teaching us the significance of Jacob's teachings about the Savior in this chapter in regards to the atonement. This is going to be an outstanding lesson. There are a lot of resources in this lesson to help us study and understand the atonement better, and there's not going to be time to use everything, so you're going to need to prayerfully consider what will best meet the needs for your students and your particular circumstances. Let me show you a couple of the resources you have available so you can make the best choice for your class. In the beginning of the lesson, there's a story about the Chilean miners who were trapped in a cave-in, and it compares this story to us being trapped by sin and death and how we can be delivered by Jesus Christ. So you've got that story here with some questions that you could use and making the comparison to the fall and the atonement. Then the lesson moves into this activity where the students are going to study the scriptures and create a chart. If you're looking at this on your phone in the Gospel Library app, you won't see the chart. So I've included the chart down in the comments section below, an example that you could use. Two sides, if there was no Savior, with some verses, and the students are going to write and make some observations. And then because there is a Savior, and the students will search those verses and also make some observations. Then as you use the other materials in this section, videos and things like that, students can add to their chart. So they won't just be writing down things they find in the scriptures. Here's one of the videos that you could use, Why We Need a Savior, and they could add additional insights to their chart. And there are also some videos in the supplemental section. Let me highlight a few of these down here. We've got videos about the suffering of Jesus Christ on the cross, Elder Holland teaching us about the atonement of Jesus Christ. We'll get to these two videos in a second. And then this video here where justice, love, and mercy meet. And again, a lot of your students may have seen that, so you have to decide if you really have time for this 5.5-minute video. But if you did, they can watch the video and then add insights to their chart up here. After they have had a chance to search the scriptures and you've used a couple of those videos and they've got some information on their charts, you're going to use some of these questions to facilitate a class discussion about the atonement. I've highlighted one question here that I might phrase in a different way. It just sounds a little odd to me. I would maybe say here, what blessings can we receive because of the Savior's atonement? I think that's a little easier to understand at 6 o'clock in the morning. As we're leading that class discussion, we really want our students to summarize this truth, something like this, and I would add this to the chart that we've made here. Maybe a spot at the top or a spot at the bottom where students could write in their own words what they are learning from Jacob's teachings and the principles they're learning about the atonement from those video resources that you're using. Then we move into kind of the application section of the lesson where we really want the students to personalize these teachings and think about how the atonement applies in their life personally. The question here, again, I've highlighted in green, is a little clunky. I might phrase it slightly differently. I might say something like, when has understanding the atonement of Jesus Christ been meaningful to you? Or if you want to make it even more simpler and a slightly different question would be, when has the atonement of Jesus Christ been a blessing to you? Here in the call-out box, it advises teachers to consider sharing a personal example before inviting students to answer that question. When has the atonement of Jesus Christ been a blessing to you? So think of an example from your life ahead, and there are 2 outstanding videos down here in the supplemental section where students can see the impact that the atonement has had on the lives of other teenagers and young adults. After students have thought about a time in their life, remembered a time when the atonement was meaningful to them, we'll circle back around to that Chilean rescue story if you used it, and talk about how we need to act in order to receive the blessings of the atonement. And so they've got the ending of the story and a couple of questions there that do that. If you didn't use the Chilean story, no problem, because we would jump in here and read these 4 verses in 2 Nephi chapter 9 and look for the choices that we must make in order for the Savior to save us from spiritual death. And then we'll want to use these questions again to facilitate that discussion. We will end the lesson by sharing our testimonies of Jesus Christ and his atonement. And if there's time, you might invite a couple of the students to share as well. This will be a powerful lesson that will help our students remember those times in their life when the atonement has been meaningful to them and understand how to better access the power of the Savior's atonement in their lives each and every day. Have a great week.